welcome to the Music Scout podcast with myself, Lewis Fisher, and welcome to the very first interview podcast of this new schedule of the Music Scout. This is going to be an interview with the Brewers Grade, and it was a lovely interview. The guys were so lovely, and it's a very comedic interview, I will say. This interview was one that I really enjoyed doing with the guys. We had a few technical hitches at the start, so Skype failed me, or the Skype recorder failed me, so unfortunately I had to use the backup, in which my phone was literally to the microphone. So if it sounds a little bit dodgy, that's why, but at least you can still get the interview. The guys were hilarious. They were so funny, and we got talking about whiskey, we got a little bit talking about just how they've evolved their sound, and yeah, it was a really good interview. So I hope you guys do enjoy. We're going to play a song first from their album. This came out in 2014, and they released a new song called Heartbreak Song, which came out in 2017. We'll play that at the end because they'll be talking a little bit about it. So this is just a little bit of an introduction for you folks into the Brewers Grade, and so you can get a feel for the band, the sound, and give you a little bit more of a context in who they are as well. So do enjoy the song, folks, and I will see you on Friday for the Music Scout music episode. So do enjoy, and I will speak to you all in a bit. Ta-ra!
Don't say a word, 'cause I've already heard it. All you've said with that smile. Baby, don't move. Let's just use this quiet moment for a while. There's so many things that we can do, and so much time we can lose. Let's get get lost. Let's get lost. What's in those eyes? Girl, you can't disguise it. Oh, come on, just go with it and set it free. Let's take our love where no one can find it. Leave the world behind it, just you and me. Now don't let life get in the way. We don't find a road like this every day. Let's get lost now, baby. Find our way back home. Let's get lost now, baby. Be together alone. Take the right way and make it wrong. Let's get lost. Let's get lost now, baby. Find our way back home. Let's get lost now, baby. Be together alone. Take the right way and make it wrong. Sometimes love just needs to roll. Let's get lost.
So here I am with the Brewers Grade. I have all of the band with me, actually. I have Joe Smart is actually in a different location, as well as Nolan Hare, Zach Grooms, Cody Christopherson, and Al Hare are all traveling at the moment. So they're all around a laptop speaking to me, which is very kind of them. Let's start at the beginning then. So how did your band come to fruition? How did the band join together, and when did you guys start becoming the Brewers Grade?
Yes. Well, we've been there's been some form of the band in existence for 20 years now. This year.
Wow.
And, 20 years ago, Cody Christopherson and I we started the band, and it was called something else way back then. But over the years, people. Membership has changed.
Dwight was just an asshole to you,
for 6 years, just us and we changed the band name to Brewers Grade. And basically, fine-tuning the past 4 years.
Okay, interesting. So you guys have been together for that long, and then with this in mind, how long did it take you guys to sort of mold that sound that you guys are rocking with right now?
I would say that it has been a culmination of all 20 years.
Wow.
From everybody. They always just kind of had one thing in mind, which is just play music, create music that we like. And, if we are kind of a close-knit group, there's only us and an engineer in the studio when we record.
Okay.
It's just a culmination of all of those years, I would say. So,
I think one of the biggest changes to our sound was when Joe came to the band, because he brought a whole truckload of instruments and fiddle and mandolin and dobro and all this different flavor that we hadn't really played with before. We brought Joe into the studio and started experimenting with some of that, and it really kind of caught and really kind of worked, and that was kind of a big change for us.
Yeah, that was right around 2012, 2013.
Okay, wow. So Joe was the main reason why you guys have just completely changed your sound, as it were, or sort of took it in a new direction.
All the time too. It just keeps evolving too.
Yeah. Yeah. So your music is evolving constantly, and you feel like you're constantly progressing as well.
Yes.
Amazing. So on the similar line with like your vocal harmonies in the band, because they're for me personally one of the key points in your album that you've released in 2014. How long did it actually take you guys to nail these harmonies, and was it a rather instantaneous, or did it take a little time to perfect them?
I think that's something that's kind of always been around, was those harmonies. It wasn't necessarily a full 3-part harmony.
Okay.
But it was definitely one of those things where Nolan and I worked together to really create, a lot of cool moving parts around what Zach's already doing, and trying to create this really cool, unique sound. And I think some of that is some of my influence from the folk world, the bluegrass world, and the harmonies and stuff that happen there is just unlike any other place where harmonies happen,
Okay.
We really
Yeah.
do a lot of organic development with that. Joe and I, especially in the studio, we'll go set up a couple of mics in a couple of different rooms and just kind of run the song a few times until it's starting to feel good. So a lot of it just kind of, it isn't completely like mapped out and charted out. It just kind of comes together and happens, and we'll get a take that feels good and feels like magic and go with it. And then we have to figure out how we're going to do it, which is always another challenge in itself. But
Yeah, definitely. No, I completely agree. So with all of that in mind, it's quite impressive that you guys have got sort of these vocal harmonies down. How proud are you to have this within your soundscape?
I think it's one of our defining points.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of people comment on it, and we're hugely honored to have that in the forefront of our identity. Is those vocals. So
Yeah,
it's great.
I would completely agree with that, and it's also just quite heartwarming as well. Your vocals, all of you, and also the instrument, the sort of high quality playing of all of your instruments. I think is definitely something that should be noted and sort of sung about more with any interview or anyone who speaks about your albums. How long have you guys been playing all your instruments for then?
I've been playing well over 30 years.
Oh wow.
Well, pretty much lifers. I mean, we've all been playing since we were kids.
Yeah.
20 plus. Yeah, over 20 years.
Wow. So well experienced people, and it shows in the it shows in your music as well, because you guys are so tight, and you can prove some nice little licks in sort of in the violin or the fiddle, and also guitar as well, and just the quality sort of shines through really nicely.
Thank you.
That's so. So obviously, being in a country where country music is sort of loved by everyone, is it quite hard to carve your own sound and creating something unique and different for the listening audiences?
It really is a challenge. It's pretty difficult, especially with all the music out there. And country music itself, or what is considered country music, is changing a little bit. But I think that it has been a little bit easier for us to kind of make our own way because we just play music that we like, and we're not too overly influenced by what's going on the radio right now. Something that we're extra proud of is that we just do our thing and enjoy it, and people seem to enjoy it and catch on. And so we're really trying to not only carve our own sound in, but we're also trying to carve our own our thing in the northwest of the U.S. And call it kind of West country music. And we've also got some of the people getting on board with that, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think that your album is definitely very unique. Just because I've heard a lot of country music in my time, and there's something different about your band's music that just sort of seems to shine through quite a lot from sort of the mass of country music there is available. It also helps with just because my girlfriend, she was in Oklahoma for 5 years, and I was lucky enough to go out there and sort of have a proper experience of sort of American lifestyle. And there is a lot of country music that people listen to. I did not realize that it was listened to pretty much every single day by everyone.
Yeah, it is quite popular.
That was the one thing that I was very shocked about, is that everybody listens to whatever country music, whatever's playing on the radio, that, specific radio stations just for country music, which is insane. So I'd love if they did it over here, just specific country music radio stations, or even like indie or rock or something. But it's so diverse here in the UK that sometimes you just need one genre, which would be quite nice.
Yeah.
So
I would say one of the things about the uniqueness of our stuff that we've recorded versus, a lot of other stuff is that we've never really gone in with like a mold. We've never gone in with a whole list of songs and said, we want this to sound like this, or we want, we're going to make this as commercial as possible.
Yeah.
We've really just followed our hearts and our intuition as far as, let's record this song and really develop it. And we come up with ideas while we're in the studio and develop, different sonic landscapes, and however that comes out, it is what it is, rather than, well, let's try and make this sound like the most recent thing, the big hits on the radio right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to go about it, because then you're not trying to push yourself to be someone who you might not necessarily be as well. You might not be aiming to be the biggest country artist. You just want to make your own music, but at the same time, you still want to try and reach as many fans as possible.
Yeah, and I've always had the outlook that when you're recording an album, it's much like a painter painting a piece, on a canvas. It's gonna last forever. So make it the best darn thing you could actually make, rather than trying to fit to a mold. And oh, we're going to have one great, phenomenal single on there, and all the rest of them are just throwaway songs. You know, the whole idea is that this is a piece of art. You know, every song on this album is a piece of art that's telling a story. Let's make it the most fantastic thing, because, you know, 200 years from now, if there's still a CD player or any format that can still play music, you know, it's possible that, you know, it could, you know, who knew that when Bach wrote all his partitas that they'd be discovered, and 400 years later people are still playing them.
It's very true. Yeah.
You know, it's that's my concept is I want it to be lasting. It's not, let's just make it sound, you know, this way. It should be timeless.
Yeah, definitely.
Much like the Beatles.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true. So let's delve into your album Jumping Around, which came out in 2014. So how long did it take to record the album, and so what were the first concepts around the album?
Well, we had an initial, we call it a band retreat, where we arranged a few things and kind of got.
I was mostly drinking whiskey in a cabin. That's mostly.
I was professional. It was a professional drinking party that led to some music arrangement.
It's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, so we did that, and then we went right into the studio, and we spent like 3 or 4 days in the studio. Just really, our goal was, because we're usually under a budget, and we're usually under a time crunch, and so the pressure is usually on when we're in the studio, and which was the case with this one. And so we took 3 or 4 days, recorded as much as we possibly could, and then we came back over the next month or two and finished things up. And so it really didn't take too long. It probably took a total of 5 or 6 days to do the album, but it was over the course of a few months to actually get it out. But we just I think we had some challenges in there too. We had I had a
vocal issue.
I lost half of my voice, or I got vocal paresis, which is a paralysis of one vocal cord. So we had to take a little break before we could finish the vocals on it. But
that happens when I choke him sometimes.
Yes. Weren't agreeing on something, and
That's the style to get the unique sound then.
Kind of a funny spin-off of that, we just rediscovered a song that we had recorded during that time that we kind of stopped on because Zach wasn't super comfortable with his vocal on it, and it didn't make that album, but we just kind of dusted it off and uncovered it, and we're putting it on our new EP that's coming out. It was kind of funny. We thought we had to do a bunch more work on this song. We pulled it out of the file, and it was basically ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that was one song that was pretty much ready to go, ready for this EP that's coming out.
Yeah.
Sweet. So you're talking of an EP. Can you give any more details on it at all?
Yeah. So we
Sweet.
In the studio last year we recorded 4 songs and planned on just releasing it with just 4 songs, and then we discovered this old song that was basically done, and so it's a package of 5 songs. We're doing something a little bit different with this one. We did kind of a soft release on it, just selling it at shows and things like that, but the official release is going to be on cassette tape with a download card.
Oh, wow.
Something a little different, a little retro.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Part of the concept of it is it's a mixtape.
Okay.
Back when you used to have a boombox and you would record, as we were kids growing up, and you'd record and you'd record right off the radio station, and you'd record onto a cassette, and you put together a whole group of songs on a tape, and you'd label it like, love songs, or this is my, get pumped up songs, kind of like what we do with playlists now in iTunes and Spotify. The whole concept was we're going to make a mixtape, and so it's got a whole theme behind it.
Okay, that's interesting. And is there any news on when that's looking to come out?
Soon. I mean, the tapes are in production right now, so it's getting really close. We haven't really put an official release date out there. We've got some promo we want to do leading up to it, but it'll be this summer for sure.
Great. That'll be my soundtrack for the summer sorted then. So another thing with jumping around, moving back onto the album, I wanted to quickly touch on the song "Shoot Whiskey" for a couple of reasons. Firstly, what's your favourite whiskey, everyone?
That's a good question.
Well, is it spelled with an E or a Y? That's the big difference.
Well, we spent a long time where we had a little deal going with Pendleton Whiskey, who's a neighbor of ours here in the Northwest, and we pretty much grown immune to Pendleton at this point. But we like a lot of whiskeys. We like going top shelf sometimes. We can drink the well whiskey if we have to. We're whiskey connoisseurs, I guess.
Well, good old Jack Daniels is my standby.
So a wide variety.
I do like my old crow.
I'm a single malt man personally. It's the Scottish single malts.
Yeah.
It's because we can't really get any of the American bourbons or whiskies here. I think I've only tried one or two, and they've been really strong. I think one was about 60% or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll have to sneak you a bottle of come over that way.
I'll send it over
One of
to
the
you.
whiskeys.
Have you
One
got
of the whiskeys I discovered. Yeah, one of the whiskeys I discovered over in Scotland was Jura whiskey.
Yep, that's one of my
Off
favourites
the-
actually.
Yeah,
Isla
it's
Jura.
one of my favorites. It's really good.
That's very good. I'd suggest Dalwhinnie as well. That's one of my ones that I'd suggest. But back to music. When after we go, we could do a whole new like whiskey podcast if we wanted to.
Yes.
So the second thing was that there's a nice little nod in that song to Led Zeppelin from the song Kashmir. Could you tell me a little bit more about this nice little nod to them in that song?
I think that kind of came about with me noodling on the banjo, and it was like we were kind of just playing the song and arranging it and developing it, and I was like just messing around. I was like, dude, we could throw Kashmir in this, and it works.
It does, yeah. Because I was just listening to that. Oh, hello, what's going on here?
And it is slightly different. Like if you compare the original Led Zeppelin recording to what we did, the timing is slightly different on when they kind of doing the note climb up. So it's definitely a nod to them. It's not like trying to rip off what they did, but it's like, Party Like a Rock Star. That's in there. And I mean, come on, Led Zeppelin's one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Let's do this. We can totally do this with this song.
Yeah, that's why I said about a nod, because I knew it was very slightly different. It's not it's not completely the same, but you can guess it if you're an avid Led Zeppelin fan.
Yes, that was the whole concept.
Yeah, you can definitely tell when people get it.
Yeah,
we play a lot. There's smiles on a lot of faces.
Yeah, definitely. So with what's going on between the band, between the debut album that you released, and obviously the new single "Heartbreak," which came out, "Heartbreak Song," which came out in 2017. What else has been going on between this time?
No one.
Well, we've actually.
Have you been like taking a break or something like that?
We've kind of been developing kind of some brand extension type of stuff. We just released a beer, which is really exciting. We
Yes, I did
released
see
a
that.
hazy IPA that's kind of a super tasty, easy to drink, higher ABV. Yeah, really great.
Really good.
Wish I had some right now. No, it's a little early, but so doing that, we're getting ready to release a coffee. We've been talking about doing a little music festival. We've been talking about doing our own little radio thing here, highlighting some Northwest artists. So really kind of embracing this whole Northwest country concept and saying we don't have to go be a Nashville band or a Texas band or a Bakersfield band. We can be Northwest, and we can take this culture and we can share it with everyone. So we've been kind of doing a lot of work behind the scenes, starting to get that ball rolling a little bit. We've also been building up a great team of people to help us out and help us take our music to the next level. And that's gotten it some new recognition here recently. I mean, we just got nominated for Country Band of the Year and Country Song of the Year for Heartbreak Song from the IMEA Awards. It's International Music and Entertainment Association. So we're going to present and perform in their program, and hopefully bring a couple of awards home as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, many congratulations for being nominated, not once but twice as well.
Thank you.
With the question for Joe. What was it like working with Zac Brown Band? Because I'm a big fan of theirs personally, and I've seen them once live here in the UK. They came over 2016, I think it was, and they were outstanding. How was the experience?
The experience is still continuing. That's what I'm doing here in Nebraska. I'm at the venue right now, and we have our first show of the summer tonight.
Okay.
So we've been spending 3 days in rehearsals, and production rehearsals with Zach and the band, as well as with Daryl Scott, who's a phenomenal songwriter. In fact, you would probably recognize his hit that was performed by the Dixie Chicks, "Long Time Gone."
Yeah.
So we kind of all intermix. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, all the guys, they're older, like Brewers Grade guys. We're in our later 30s up into mid 40s, and Zac Brown guys are all of that age. So it's fun to connect on the same level. Guys that have just put in a lot of time in their craft, and they're all phenomenal singers and musicians, and just chill as can be.
I can picture that.
And all the crew that they have, Zach typically handpicks his entire crew.
Wow.
So everybody that's running the stage, running the sound, running lights, catering, all that stuff. It's all been put together by Zach, and he's found all these people, and just super gracious and lots of fun. I mean, and there's a reason why they call their fan base the Zamily. Zach really looks at it as a big extension of his family.
Yeah.
And treats it as such.
Yeah, that actually makes a whole lot of sense, to be honest, because he seems like quite a family man. But linking back to the crew, it does make sense also that he picks his own crew, just because I remember the sound sounding absolutely phenomenal in Wembley Arena, and I thought, man, he must know all the guys there, because then they must know the band really well as well. So that definitely makes sense. So that's really interesting. So moving on to your latest single, Heartbreak Song. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the song before we wrap up, as well as your feelings towards the award ceremony? How are you feeling about that?
The song is one that I wrote a few years ago, or a couple years ago. There's kind of a rule in music that we break a lot of the rules in music, or we try to anyways. And one of the rules is that you don't really write a song, especially have a single about songwriting. You don't really, have a song about being an artist as much, because people can't relate to it. But we found it actually has worked quite well for us. This song, it really came alive in the studio. We're big fans of 90s country, because that's where we all came from. That's what we learned from. And so we kind of took those influences from our favorite artists in the 90s, George Strait, Garth Brooks, a lot of real heavy fiddle songs in modern 90s country, and kind of put that in there and made a song that we feel like could have been alive in the 90s as well.
Okay.
And that's why we are, really, this was the out front single off of our project, because it's just, it really ties in our influences in the 90s.
Yeah, no, I think that does make a lot of sense. I did sense a lot of sort of older style of country music, sort of the classic style of country music. So it definitely brought home a lot of sort of the typical sound of just having like sort of a warm felt heart and things like this, and just enjoying country music, just sitting back and chilling out and just enjoying what is being presented to you by such gracious musicians as well. I think it's just a really well-rounded song personally, and I think it's so we're going to play the song at the end as well, so you guys can you can introduce that at the end. So fingers crossed everybody else likes it as much as me and you guys.
Yeah.
So how are you guys feeling towards the award ceremony as well?
Oh, we're really excited about it. It's not something we've done before. Obviously keeping our fingers crossed for the win, at least one of them.
Mm-hmm.
We get to have a big part in it. Not only are we nominated in 2 categories, but we're also going to present there, and as well as perform our single in front of all of the other association members.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool.
And how many people are there going to be there? Do you know?
We're not sure. It's hard to say, but
a few hundred at least.
Sweet.
Looking at the auditorium, it's a good size, like 800 capacity or something like that. Yeah.
Okay,
so,
great.
Everybody, it's deep into the music, so we're looking forward to playing for them.
Amazing. Well, that's I think that's everything. So I'm gonna let you guys have your like a minute or two, just to have your little say on everything that's going on, from the beer to the award ceremony. The new single came out last year, and also the EP is coming out. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, yeah, a lot going on. We've got our own Brewers Grade beer that is going to be. It actually is released, but only in our hometown, Dallas, Oregon. It's called Unwound IPA. Also got a new coffee that is going to be coming out, and we'll have lots of news about that on our website, brewersgradeband.com. We got of course, our Jumpin' In album that is still available online on all the download platforms, as well as on our website. And we also have a new EP that's going to be coming out. Hopefully next month on cassette tape, as well as download cards, so something a little different. It's called Heartbreak Song. We also have our own line of T-shirts that is on our website that's doing really well for us. T-shirts and hats, brewersgradeband.com. And our newest single, Heartbreak Song, is doing well on iTunes and Amazon, Spotify, and a few other download platforms. And of course, nominated for Country Song of the Year by the IMEAs, where we're heading to next week to hopefully go pick up an award for that and Country Band of the Year, as well as perform the song at the ceremony and get to present an award to another deserving member. So
amazing. So it sounds like you guys are very, very busy.
Yes, we've got a lot going on, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Amazing. Thank you very much for joining me, and we'll play Heartbreak Song to close on the interview. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me, even though such early hours for you as well. So all the best for the rest of the journey, and all the best for the new EP and everything that's going on.
Thank you as well.
Here I am again, sitting alone in an empty bar where the beer it flows like a waterfall over my broken heart. I still need quite a few more drinks before my mind decides that my heart can think she's gone for good, until it's understood. For those of you who know me best, you know what happens next. I break down and the tears start to flow, and the words pour out like a river, and it all goes down, and it lands right there on a bed of music. But the last thing I need is another heartbreak song. It all starts with a memory, a place and time where I used to be so happy. We were so happy. And then a sad tune comes in my head, and it goes along with those things you said and how you left me. Oh, how you left me. For those who've been there before, you know just what's in store. I break down and the tears start to flow, and the words pour out like a river, and it all goes down, and it lands right there on a bed of music. But the last thing I need is another heartbreak song. Here I am again, sitting alone in an empty bar where the beer it flows like a waterfall over my broken heart.